We are in Domaria, a country known to other countries as a strange place, a scary place, filled with vampires and demons and heathens and evil cults and everything. Actually, 2,000 years ago, the country was ruled by vampires. But they have been driven away, of course, but that's so far back, it's not even history, it's mythology, so it's probably not true. Probably. But still, the reputation has clinged to the place. You are all in the employ of Lord Damas Olem, the Lord of Valamboria, the northernmost part of the country. And you are right now on a mission to almost the Argian border, where you will investigate the troubles of the new monastery that's being built there. The abbot, called Hugo, has been sending messages quite a while about him needing help, and recently got a big cry for help from him. It spoke of brigands, of robber barons, of even people coming over the border and trying to attack the monastery. And the Lord Damas Olem thought this is probably just crying wolf, but you never know. Let's send someone there to have an objective eye on it, and those people, those eyes, that's you. You've been traveling for 2 days. You are almost able to see the monastery, but on these days you've made some introductions, maybe. You're, after all, traveling on the same wagon with 2 horses pulling it. You have some kind of food with you. Who prepares it? Who seems to be doing the cooking? Who's the snorer? And so forth. Those things you definitely have noticed.
Yes, who I might very well be attending to the cooking. I'm an elderly lady. I like to walk around and make sure that everyone is happy and content. You know that my name is Camilla. I've been recruited by Lord Damas to broker peace, make sure that everyone is content with the deal that comes out. Help you find out, of course, the truth about this. These rumors, the praised letters from the abbot Duvedsson. And I'm currently wrapping up the pot of a nice little stew that I've finished making here on the day. You could smell a nice smell of spice and perhaps some cooked meat or turnips floating through the air.
And who's that over there then?
I am Veruca the Traveler. And there is no... I tell everyone that I'm a traveler. I don't spare a moment to tell them about when I went to this magical country over here, or this kingdom that seemed to be lost, and I've done everything. I worked as an accountant, I worked as a gladiator, all of it, and I'm speaking your ears off about it. But most times I'm also writing, because I have a lot of correspondence to do. So I have all these stacks of paper and feathers and ink. I think that's what we know so far.
And that is what you're currently doing? Are you sitting down writing something?
That is.
Someone important?
Yep, someone very, very important.
And not far from where you're sitting, there's a man. He's starting to get up in ages, about... not as young as Veruca here, or the other character of this company, more in the age of Carmilla. You know, he's a man of the cloth. He's a chaplain, but at the moment he's not really dressed like it. He's like got pretty neutral, simple clothes. And he's not overly talkative like the dear Veruca. He's more of a listener and likes to guide people when they seem in doubt. Seek knowledge in the House of Dark, of course. He's got a neatly trimmed beard, and of course his years has started to make his hairline recede a bit. Only to bring him closer to Dark's bright light, of course.
And I am Astor Eridsson. I am a youngish man, just reached my 30s, long hair, dressed formally in the colours of House Olem, showing, of course, that I am a servant of the house, perhaps more so than any of my travelling companions. I let everyone do as they wish. They can chat away, they can be silent. I smile, I nod, I listen. After all, my mind is focused on other things. I'm very keen to see this mission done successfully for my lord. It is an annoyance to him, and I do my best to ease those annoyances. It is known, of course, that I am his official correspondence here. I carry his letter of proxy, which will, of course, prove that we are who we say we are, and aid us in our investigations. I know the old lady. I don't really know Veruca, but she seems harmless enough. I definitely do not know the chaplain. But we shall see. I find it interesting how silent he is and how talkative Veruca is. Sometimes the ones who talk most are not quite dangerous, the ones who talk least. But sometimes it's the other way around. Appearances can be deceiving. It matters not. I am polite and smile to all on this journey. And yes, at this moment in time, I'm sort of peeking outside the wagon, my eyes on the roads. It's always best to be alert in these sort of lands.
That is definitely a good thing, because you have been travelling through pine woods, some spruces. You haven't actually seen any brigands, but it feels like brigand territory. You would not be surprised if robbers jump out of the woods. You have seen dangerous animals, large elk, wolves, other things on your travels. But right now, you're almost over a hill. And on the other side of it, the pine wood ends. And you can see the barren moors and heaths of the Merdakh Valley. Here grows basically nothing. It's, as I said, barren. There are a few farms you can see fires from many, many kilometers away. But close by, you can see the monastery, which is still a construction site. Maybe 2 kilometers away. The road you're traveling is not very well maintained. It's rickety, it's almost broken in many places, with grass growing through. And you also see 2 other small encampments on either side of the monastery, about 300-400 meters away on each side. Different than the monastery, other kinds of tents. And right in front of you, between you and the monastery, on the road, you see 3 soldiers bearing the colours of Lord Damas Olem. In full regalia, so to speak, with spears, swords, shields, helmets, everything. And the sun is bearing down very much. You feel the mosquitoes, you feel the lack of wind making it even more unbearable in the heat. And the August sun is always evil.
Oh, goodness me, seems like we are being well received.
Indeed, this is promising. Here I was worried that things might be a little unseemly around here, although I do wonder, looking at these 2 camps. Well, these individuals, strange to camp so close to a monastery.
Is it possible that I recognize them?
When you come closer, you definitely see that they might recognize you, because they look at you, stretch out their arms and try to wave you closer. Come here, come here.
Friends of yours, Veruca, I smile.
Probably. I haven't seen them before, but I have a bad face memory, so it's possible.
And yet you had such a great memory for all the places you've been.
Yep, that's true.
How interesting.
Alright, what's all this here then? You hear them cry.
Well, I start to look in my pack and bring out my letter of proxy that we have been received from the Lord.
Alright, what are you guys doing here? They say.
Well, good evening, sirs. We are here on business of the Lord's, of course, and I...
Yeah, obviously. Wait, really?
Yes, really, I poke my head out and take out my letter as well and see.
What?
All official, I assure you.
The 2 on the former Reach out, take your letters, and give them to the man behind them. Also a soldier, but slightly larger, bulkier built, and with face like a boxer, bent nose, crushed ears, more scars than face. He looks at them.
Just to explain, we've been receiving news, unsettling news from the abbot, isn't that right?
Indeed. In question, the abbot claims there are troubles in these lands, and he would direly require some assistance from his lord. We have, of course, come to say...
Nah, you ain't. You ain't here. Those are forgeries.
Forgeries, sir.
Obviously. You don't look at me. I look like a man from the Lord. You don't look like...
I step out of the wagon and take a moment to unreveal my travelling cloak, revealing my full house colours.
Okay. All right. We're collecting. We're gonna help the monastery. We're getting money. We're setting up a way station toll. We're taking tolls.
Are you really, sir?
Yeah, obviously.
Almost seems to me as if you made that up on the spot, and you're actually trying to hinder our Lord. He'll be very interested to hear that. I take out my little notebook I have. I'll just start making a note. Interesting. What was your name?
Don't do that!
I think you'll find I care. What was your name again?
I didn't say.
Oh, I didn't say. Interesting name.
Oh, very good. Well, if you have been collecting tolls for the Lord, then you will be pleased to hear that we are here to help you bring them on to the Lord himself as we go back.
Oh, no, you ain't.
We are on official business, as you can see.
All right, guys. He slaps the shoulders of his two soldiers like, we gotta talk to the... Yeah. And they turn around on the spot and go away. And you can see... Astor, you can definitely see that these guys don't walk like soldiers. They don't march. An officer usually doesn't slap the shoulders of his underlings before to get them to walk. And they seem to have a disrespectful attitude towards their officer as well.
It was most noted. I've noted down all three of their appearances at least. They didn't give us their names, and I turn to my companions and say, well, that was unusual.
No, not really. It happens all the time in these parts.
All the time in these parts.
Yeah.
You're telling me that those fine soldiers walking as if they were drunk tavern boys are actually in the employ of our Lord.
They're probably tavern boys.
Well, I wonder about the regalia that they're wearing. If it's just been made by someone, or if it's been stolen from dead souls.
Do you know if our Lord sent troops ahead? Maybe there are people missing and their clothes have been stolen?
To be perfectly honest, it was my understanding that we were here to do the investigation in the first place, so for people to even be here and seem surprised at the concept of investigation, make a note. I make a note.
How much paper do you have?
Quite a lot. You kind of see it's actually quite a large notebook with at least 50, 60 pieces of paper in it, and a coal pen, so very fancy, and it slips just into a little pocket on my person. Let us proceed to the monastery with caution, friends. Yes. Already, I'm slightly suspicious. You said, do these tents look familiar to you, Baruka?
No, it could probably be some mercenary tents or locals, I don't know. Do they have distinct features, the tents, on like the left or the opposite side, or do they look the same?
They look roughly the same. Now that you think about it, they looked a bit unprofessional, not only in their walk and their talk, but also their boots were very muddy. I think the tip of their spears were a bit rusty as well, and they were definitely unshaven. Something the Lord Damas Olem would definitely not tolerate. And they didn't wear their uniforms, they didn't fit correctly. It looks... No. There were a lot of small oddities going on.
Interesting.
It is quite obvious that these are not the best of Dark's followers, and that they are probably here in some sinister intent.
Yes, Father Lagronius, what is your business anyway? Are you going to tend to the monastery yourself? Do you intend to stay and discuss with the chaplain?
The Lord Olem thought that my keen eye and, I do have a knowledge of things that perspire at a monastery, and he thought that I could be of help, of course.
Do we have any... Is it just the 4 of us in our wagon?
Just the 4 of you. Well, the horses also.
Right.
But this conversation takes place as the wagon continues to go down the hill, and it's not far to the monastery, where you can hear the beautiful song from the friars and the monks singing the praise of Dark, the great Lord, praise the great prophet of Milagok, and praise be to Saint Alexius, who owns this monastery, and to whose soul we pray that we may one day be worthy.
Well, that's a promising sign, at least, that things are going on as they should.
Could the problems we've heard of be related to the so-called soldiers we met?
Possibly, Father, but then again it is possible the dear abbot is suffering a malady of the mind, and perhaps it's all been made up. That's exactly what we're here to investigate. But
if the abbot has been touched by Dark and his grace, I wouldn't call it a malady of the mind. You should be careful how you phrase yourself, dear Astor.
Indeed I should. Forgive me, Father, sometimes, my mind slips on things, much as when you seem to slip into certain areas. But we all have faulty memories sometime, don't we, Father?
Are you accusing me of something?
Nothing at all. As you said yourself that one time, it was, looking for the wine cellar when you were in that storage chamber. But it is easy to get lost at the Lord's home.
I am fairly new at the facilities and don't know my way around.
I smile.
Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, may I be of assistance? You hear a very melodious voice coming from somewhere below the horses. You see a very small elf sticking his head up. He has the traditional monk's haircut, the tonsure, and he says, "May I be of assistance, ladies, gentlemen?"
What is the attitude to elves or people of Valaboria?
Very, very negative. But this one has forsworn his ancient religion and joined the Lord Dark, so conflicted would be the best way to say.
I suppose I would wrinkle my nose a little then, but, civility and all that. Yes, good, sir. We are here to see the abbot, ideally as quickly as possible.
Ah, praise be to the great prophet Milagok. Finally our suffering has brought us aid, he says, with the same melodious voice, and shows you the way into the great construction site of the monastery. Please follow me.
I adjust my braid as I come down from the wagon, and I look at our friends very smilingly. This is good.
Yes, my name is Odo. I do most of the practical things here. Some of the friars can assist you with the horses, give them water, give them oats, and our abbot, the great abbot Hugo, praise be unto him, has started doing his bookkeeping over here, but I think we could be... I think he would like us to disturb him, if you'll excuse my little joke there.
Yes, of course,
yes,
of course.
Yes, please join me, he says as he walks through the many tents and measuring tapes and stoneworks and masonries and the large lumberyards and everything else that is needed to build a monastery.
Very good, very good. I very quickly in passing to Veruca just say, of course, remind me again, you were here for the accounts or something, Veruca? I can't quite remember. The Lord was quite unspecific about your actual use here.
Exactly. I have to go through all the bookkeeping and see that something is very weary. All the noblemen and knights in the area have all fighting on hard financial ship, so there's something at the top that is leaking, and we have to find it.
Where the money goes, yes.
Excuse me. I'm not sure I understand there. You hear Otto speak. Do you need to go through the monastery's bookkeeping?
Yes, exactly.
That is not, as I recall, the problem we called for.
It is not, but it is something that the Lord himself would really appreciate, while, of course, we are solving your actual problems. Do not worry.
Of course.
I said Astor here is the one who will do all the investigation and helping. I will just here to be financial support.
Well, yes. All help is welcome help, of course. Here we are, he says, and points to a rather larger tent, where you can see an abbot in his great hood, great beard, sitting doing books. One book with a little pen inside, another book which he seems to be copying, and a little bit candle beside him, because after all it is a little bit dark inside the tent. He looks up and says, "Can I help you, gentlemen, ladies, travellers, Odo?"
I curtsy.
Dark's light and grace upon all of you.
Dark's light and grace upon all of you as well.
We are sent by the Lord Olem to assist in pressing matters.
Indeed, we've received your word. Well, he received your word, rather.
Thank the Lord, he says with a deep sigh of relief. Welcome, welcome. It's a day of fasting, unfortunately, but I can grant you water, maybe some hard bread.
Acceptable. We take anything the Lord provides with grace.
Wonderful, wonderful, he says, and gives you all each a wooden cup with some water and a bit of hard bread without anything on it. No butter, no cheese, no nothing, just hard bread.
It's not the worst thing I've eaten.
I smile and try to look friendly and grateful as I dip some of the hard bread into the water to soften it for my, delicate teeth.
I say a prayer before I eat, of course.
Oh yes, the abbot, of course, does the dark triangle and assists you in the prayer. You seem to be a man of the cloth as well.
Yes, my name is Rubeus Lagronius.
Oh, that sounds like a Georgian name. I think I can hear the accent as well. Are you...
I hail from there, but I travel wherever Dark and Milagok needs me.
Wonderful. You do know that we are actually the Order of Saint Alexius, the patron saint of the missionaries and travelers. So
then I am at the right place.
I you are most welcome, dear colleague. But perhaps we could go down to the business at hand?
Indeed, of course.
You sounded most troubled in your letters.
Yes, we have had a bit of escalating complexities here. We only seek solitude and to continue our great promises to Dark about celibacy, asceticism, and of course silence, which I am the only one allowed to break. As the abbot, someone must be in contact with the other. But lately we've had two conflicting groups here. I think you saw their tents on the way in? Maybe?
We did indeed. Yes. Most peculiar. Tell us the situation.
Well, on that side, he says, and points towards the more raggedy group of tents, 20 or so, we have... Well, they are obviously not soldiers, but they claim to be.
I think we have had the pleasure of running into them.
Yes, they do move about a bit. They've been troubling the locals as well. I'm rather scared of them, to be honest. They seem like ruffians. And I know they have been in trouble with a few of the locals with, luckily only fists and boots, but I think swords and knives could have been involved as well.
Who leads them, or at least pretends to lead them?
They seem to have two leaders, a lieutenant and a sergeant. The sergeant looks like a boxer with a big broken nose, and the other one seems rather like a nice chap, but I don't dare to speak to him, honestly. The lieutenant, he requests an audience with me alone, and I think that if I agree, I will either get a knife in the front or quite possibly in the back on the way in. It would be most helpful if you could just speak to him and maybe see what's going on, because if they actually are soldiers, then something is amiss with them. They could even be deserters, trying to get a quick buck on the way out. I honestly don't know, but they scare me.
I adjust my little grandmotherly cap on my head and I say, so, do you think, what reason would they possibly have of injuring an abbot? That couldn't gain them anything, could it?
Quite honestly, I think it's easy money.
You mean to dispatch you and then rob the monastery?
Well, it's not cheap to build things, and we obviously have bought lumber and stoneworks and everything, but it's
So why do you think they would ask a private session with you rather than just storming the place?
Because after all, we are more than them. We have roughly 50 friars and 10 truly sworn-in brothers. And
some who are capable of fighting, I suppose. I mean, of course, many warriors retire and find the
we have no warriors here, but I think that 20 unprofessional soldiers, if you pardon the expression, would still have problems with all of us, I think.
A score of soldiers. That is quite a little force they have been gathering up.
Oh yes. Luckily, they are kept in check, so to speak, right now.
Well, I was going to say, by the second camp.
Yes, that is the other complication. There's 10 of them, and they are Knights of Avon's Hammer. I think maybe you, Lord Father Lagronius, have heard of them. They are the right hand of the Inquisition, they are usually called. Sworn knights.
Have they stated their purpose of being here?
Yes, they claim that they have found... Well, they travel all over the world, fighting blasphemers and heathens and demons and other dangerous things, and they claim they have found rumors about demonic artifacts being here. Here. And as you may know, this was actually there was a great battle here from many, many hundreds of years ago. So it's not impossible that there are some dangerous things here. But we have only found the usual antiquities, while we dig for the foundations of the new basilica and for our houses and so. Old pottery, some copper coins, and almost completely kept settled, actually.
So what do they want? Do they just want to... Do they want to oversee and wait for you to find something?
I honestly don't know. They claim that there is specific demonic artifact here that they need, that they want to destroy, but that's... I'm sad to say this, but that's simply not true.
And where are they accusing you of holding this artifact?
Yes, but I mean, there's nothing here.
Have you let them in?
Oh yes, absolutely. They've been here. They've searched the place, but they won't leave. He gestures towards a small cabin, which is the only completed structure. Many more are, 2 walls up or so on. But in there we keep everything. But there's nothing there that's of demonic origin or even feels a bit out of place, honestly.
I would hesitate to go into a tent with 20 ruffians surrounding us if it's just the 4 of us. Should we...
I don't think it's possible for you to actually speak with them. We've tried to converse with them many times and dissuade them from coming here, but they... It doesn't work, honestly. They only claim they want to speak with me, and I honestly don't dare.
Indeed. My abbot, all due respect. How long has this all been going on for?
Well, that pack of soldiers came almost 2 weeks ago, which was right when I sent the first letter, and then the Jargon Knights of Avon's Hammer came only 2 or 3 days afterwards. Had they not come, I'm quite certain you would only find nothing, so to speak, here.
Of course. During this time, in your humble opinion,
Yes.
have any of your fellow friars, your fellow individuals here at the Abbey, anyone acted peculiar? Has everyone been very, content to let things go as they are? Has anyone been seen maybe interacting with either camp on their own mission?
People have been scared, obviously, but not dangerously scared. This sort of stalemate between the knights and the soldiers seems to have helped things a bit. We've been able to keep up the building, and there's sort of optimism returning now. No one has been, deserting from our order, if that is what you ask. No one seems... nothing seems out of order in our order.
And the only thing you'd think of different in your lives these days is, yes, you've mentioned you are working on building a new part of the
Yes.
abbey, or renovating.
Well, yes, we are building around some of the old ruins from, the olden days, centuries past, when, just to save time. There's no real point in, using, buying stone from many hundreds of kilometers away when we can just use...
Do you know the significance
repurpose the ruins.
of these runes in days past?
I understand it was a dwarvish fort for many, many years ago. But that's centuries past. It can't possibly be. The dwarves have long left Valenboria completely. It's at least I've heard so. They're all down south, aren't they? Maybe?
Maybe they're just too small, so you can't see them.
Well, that's that's a bit insensitive towards some of Dark's most humble creatures, I think.
Oh, no, I lived with them for a long time. They're completely fine with it, trust me. And I take a huge crunch of this dry bread.
It cracks even... It feels a bit like crunching into sandpaper or plywood.
Excellent. Well, this is all most intriguing. I agree, Granny, that perhaps our first call would better to be the more civilized individuals before the less civilized, at least to start with.
Do we have any names of the people, of the leaders of the groups?
Yes. The knight... there's one knight and his entourage. The knight is called Scarensis of Irion. I haven't actually seen him. He seems to be ill.
No.
His two... how do you say it? Venatore? What's the word in... Again? His two squires. Yes, Chiffon and Quillima are doing the day-to-day business. They come here, we give them water from our well and everything, so...
So they're not an unpleasant bunch, then? Just
insistent, clear. I would say, and I think they seem to not believe us.
What do you think would make them happy, then? It's just about finding the artifacts, but they will be staying around until they do so.
Well, yeah, I
but they're not a threat, are they? If they stay around, you could let them stay around forever they want. They're not going to hurt anyone, are they?
I suppose their patience are coming to an end as well. I mean, they thought they would just come here, grab an artifact, and then go again. But I think they have had to. Stay rather longer than they would have liked, and I suppose even their rations and storehouses are going empty now.
I see.
And they have to go home eventually.
Scarensis with the squires Jeffin and Quilm, and about the other ones,
they don't
so-called guards, the lieutenant, the sergeant.
They just call him the lieutenant, which I suppose is all right, and then they have the sergeant, which I heard was called Veda. He's rather more unpleasant.
During this whole conversation, I have been assessing the abbot, as I do of everyone. My gut reaction does seem to be that he perhaps is completely being earnest, but is there any little slight tick that has maybe to me indicated, maybe not deceit, but maybe an omission or something that has him more concerned?
I would say that you can feel that he's omitting some parts of the story. And maybe that he's actually trying to make a spin on everything, so that he seems more sympathetic than the other groups.
Of course he is. Again,
if you would like more information, I would say you'd have to roll for this.
I would love to make our first roll, for I confess it is a wonderful cover. All men like this act like so, but there is always more truth to things than the eye sees. What should I roll then?
During the social category of abilities there, you have the detect lies.
So 4d6.
May I roll as well? Because
Absolutely.
of course
Absolutely.
I've been basically doing the same thing as the good Astor here.
Then I will do a counter roll on my part here.
22.
22.
25.
Wow. I thought I made a good roll at 15, but...
And I'm at 18.
Well, the big thing you would say is lying by omission, is that he seems to have had rather more discussions with the Arvon's hammer than he wants to let go. They are probably not well disposed towards him, and the fact that he doesn't know the artifact is a blatant lie. He definitely knows something about it.
So very interesting. This. What are they? What are they saying about this demonic artifact? I can see that you, as an innocent party here, is being pushed very hard.
They claim it's some sort of bronze square.
A bronze square?
Yes, possibly 5 by 5 feet. Some sort of carvings on the edges.
And what is it supposed
mirror,
to do?
Maybe?
A mirror?
Probably. I honestly don't know. They don't know either. They just know the description of it.
I lock eyes with him with my piercing gaze, and I say, the decree of the truth is one of the most sacred decrees of dark, and you know dark is ever present, and I understand that you might have some pressing matters at hand, but we do need to know everything you can tell us.
The great prophet Milagux teaches us that to come closer to dark we must suffer as well. And I feel that we truly do now.
Father Lagronis, are you accusing the abbot of not telling the entire... is there something we should know, abbot? Have you found anything that could be somewhere similar to this?
I'm sure I don't need to remind you, Abbot, that we are here to protect you. If there is something that we are not informed of, perhaps that will be your own undoing.
You're quite welcome to search through the monastery, obviously. Everything we can do to help is... of course. I would never lie when I am the one who called you for help. That's just absurd.
Then you are absolutely certain that talk of a bronze mirror... What would that even mean? Of course, I know little of demonic things, but to protect us from such things, it is always useful to know.
Obviously, he says, and makes a few signs according to the prophets and the saints and everything. Yes, if we found something, I'm sure we would have noticed. You can't just let a giant bronze mirror. If you find it, I'm quite certain we would have noticed. Yes.
But what would it even do?
I honestly don't know.
Is that statement honest?
He doesn't know what it would do, but found it, not found it, probably a bit closer to an untruth.
Do we have any more estates nearby that is owned by the monastery? How far does it stretch? What other facilities are we have nearby?
We are... Oh, this is so far into bookkeeping. Lord Damas Olem's personal territory was everything of Valamboria, but he luckily granted us the tithing rights, and so from this valley. We're not close to any locals. It's almost 6 kilometers that way to the closest little village of farmers and so.
Well, if someone would find such an artifact, and perhaps keep it from you, Abbot, do you know where would they take it?
Probably anywhere. The only ones digging here are the monks and the friars, and I trust every one of them. Yes.
I actually lean closer to dear Veruca here, and in a very low voice, I ask, are you familiar with the dwarves as you claim? Do you know anything of their architecture?
Yes and no. It varies. They have different clans, you see, and all of them work in different ways. And this clan, I think it's the Gore clan, maybe, in these parts. I have never met.
So, Veruca here is assigned to help us out with the bookkeeping and make sure that nothing goes unnoticed when it comes to the economical matters of the...
Oh.
Yes. Would you be able to give her access, perhaps, to... Well, how...
I suppose so. You can actually feel his nervousness cutting through the air towards you.
Oh, wow, lovely.
But,
maybe you could take us there immediately, then. So that
these are the most recent ones, he says, and hands you one of the 2 books he was working on.
We want all of them.
Well, absolutely. Just that these are... I was not always abbot here, of course, and a lot of the ones in this book is actually from my time as a chaplain down in Miron. I quite a far bit away. I thought I could just take out the relevant parts.
Oh no, please do not. We'll have... Veruca is such an efficient worker, and I try to take the book from him.
If it's of any help, I'm also from Meron, so it's fellow to me.
Oh dear. Of course,
Thank you.
he
Thank
says.
you.
You
God
notice
bless.
that he wasn't exactly happy with this, but he plays along for now, at least.
Indeed. I go over and offer a smile and a nod and say, "Worry not. All your troubles will be sorted by your lord, in both the lord and, of course, the more maternal."
Well, I consider myself very thankful that Lord Damas Olem understands the needs of our order, but I trust in Dark, in the Prophet Milagok, and in the great Saint Alexius, who granted us, through his wisdom, our order. And you can see almost the cogwheels in his head turning while he tries to see how he could do something with the books, with Veruca.
May I ask, what was your reason for copying them?
Well, I was trying to make sure there are more than one copy, obviously, in case of fire or floods or if something would
Very
happen.
wise. Then maybe it's better to just look at the original one then, and you can sort out.
Yeah, that's
from there
true,
later.
but I'll keep both of them for now.
Yes, perfect.
Just give me a few hours and a candle.
Of course. It's still midday, so it's not a problem with the lights, just that he was in a rather dark tent.
Yeah.
I think we might need to set up our encampment as well.
Yeah. You're very welcome to use one of our tents, if you'd like.
Thank you. I think that will do.
Monastery, yes. Maybe two, one for the ladies and one for the gentlemen?
That would be most
Yes.
acceptable.
That would be the only thing acceptable, of course.
Indeed, of course.
Well, this way then. You hear from Odo, and he gestures towards the rest of the construction site, from which you also hear all kinds of noise. People sawing, people hammering, people screaming when they drop great wooden blocks on their feet.
I lean over to Carmilla as we depart and just quietly remark, "So, Thiefcatcher, what does your nose smell here? Clearly the abbot is omitting a few details."
Oh, Asta, yes. Yes, he is indeed. I am not sure that he has actually not found this artifact. He's sweating about the matter.
I noticed. The question is, why would he not simply give this artifact to them to get rid of them as soon as possible?
Either because he's given it to the other party already, or because, if this is indeed a demonic artifact, I'm sure there would be some reasons that he would be perhaps charmed by it. Have you ever heard of such a thing? A bronze mirror? Demonic of it?
I am afraid my expertise is in the Lord's affairs and not into these matters. I raise my voice a little to the others.
Have I ever heard of something like this?
Well, demonic artifacts do exist, and they are, well, definitely uncommon, but not unheard of. This specific artifact, nothing rings a bell so, but it's absolutely not impossible, you would say.
Okay, because I'm pretty well versed in both theology and in the occult.
Yes.
So,
You think you would, if you could find it, if it exists, you would probably be able to discern a few things about it.
yeah, very well.
I raise my voice more to be like, "Well, friends, what say you to our next action? It seems probably need to talk to all these wonderful people."
Yes, and establish peace between them. How could we make all parties happy here?
I think the best call would be to speak to the mercenary deserter lieutenant,
Yes.
since he's eager to talk, and I prefer to talk to people who's eager to talk. They're the best kind.
Yes, absolutely. He seems, as the abbot describes at least, some could be a deserted soldier. Maybe it was an honorable soldier forced to desert for any kind of reason. We don't know. I say honorable very loosely there, of course, but still.
Indeed. Yourself, chaplain, what do you propose a course of action as well? After all, your purpose here was to see to the abbey itself, was it not?
Yes, well, I do have a keen eye for spotting things as well, and I could I calmly look around the place a bit. I could sense that maybe the abbot was withholding things from us. whatever his reasons might be for this, but I would like to keep a closer eye on him and maybe this Odo fellow.
Yes. Very well then. We're all in agreement, it seems. Shall we go and talk to a deserter?
I have an idea, or maybe Rubeus and Hugo. How much do they look the same?
Not a lot. Well, the abbot is rather taller, a bit more lanky built. You can see that he has been fasting for a few days, for example. Yeah. Larger, more hook nose, and no.
All right.
Well, who is going to lead the talks with these ruffians?
Well, I will present myself formally, and then perhaps, Veruca, you are most disarming. It is an interesting skill of yours. You can assist.
Yes, I had an idea maybe that I could stay behind and work with his books, but on the other hand, do any of you have any experience of dealing with these sort of thugs?
Well,
you, of course, Grandma.
But I am a slight bit concerned. I've heard some rumors of activity in the area, and I do not wish to run into some old friends. So I'm very interested to know the names of said lieutenant and sergeant before I would reveal my own, at least.
Is indeed perhaps prudent. Perhaps then better you hold back. For now, maybe... I wonder how prudent it is to go by myself. However... Well, no, what do you think? I could go by myself if you want to work on the books and you wish to hold back, but Father, what do you think?
I would say maybe bring the young Veruca with you. As you said, she is quite agreeable and can talk to most people, but maybe me and Carmilla could stay here and maybe take a closer look at the ruins.
That actually could be most prudent. Yes, I agree. I think you can look at the books later. We will have time, I'm sure.
Yeah, and then I just hand them over to the priest here.
And we put them in our tent and store them there, and we will then go for a little tour of the area. Yeah. Yes, I don't think they would recognize me as I put down the books. I say this by sight. These are things that happened very long ago. But if you were to mention any name, you could perhaps call me Vera instead. How is that?
Vera?
It's close to your name, but Vera and Veruca. How nice.
Of course, Carmilla, I would do nothing to put you in a bad light. I lower my voice a little. After all, I was there.
You do know that Dark looks unkindly upon liars.
Of course he does, but in this case we are merely omitting the truths rather than committing lies. I'm not going to go there and pretend to be someone else, Father. I'm going to inform them exactly who we are. In fact, it seems that if they are claiming to be soldiers, why don't we go and inquire about the payment they're due soon?
Nicknaming is not lying, Father. Surely not.
Very well.
Also, sometimes secrecy is in the best interest of Duck himself. True. Especially in times such as these, when borders are threatened at all times, from all fours.
Dark is nothing but forgiving and gracious, and this is in a great purpose.
I am grateful, though, that you are here to offer your forgiveness on that, or speak for him at least. It is grateful of my own soul.
So, you decide to go to the deserters' camp, as you call it?
We do.
Only you two. Should you take your scene first, or would you like to do something in the meantime?
We will stroll around, look at the ruins, and probably talk a little bit to each other.
I'm actually just interested to see if I can discern anything from the ruins. Can I get a grasp of...
We could start there. You can say that it's probably dwarvish, but definitely ancient, at least a millennia old, probably more. Most of it is just a few stones upon stones. The largest ones that is part of an old fort wall, which they will use as a basilica. Rather large church.
So I'm kind of looking for inscriptions or markings of any kind.
No, you can find the odd end bits of dwarvish runic hook neck, as it's called, here we are. but it's a few syllables here and there, nothing concrete. They seem to be quite good at reusing the old architecture, though. So this great combination of old and new, of heathen dwarvish, and the great work of Dark is going to be exceptional, you can say.
Would there be any basement to ruins like this? Any structure below the ruins?
Quite possible.
Like crypts or storage areas or...
Not impossible, and you can see that they have dug quite a bit around the place. Both in places where they have put out small poles marking where they will build new buildings, and also other places. You don't see any large tunnels going down into old dwarvish ruins or such things. Everything seems to be above ground, with maybe a collapsed cellar at the most. So, you also see a lot of other things going on at the monastery, of course. The small goat herd being milked. A few more horses, which you can actually... do one of you have anything to do with animal handling, or maybe alertness or so?
Yeah, alertness. There is...
Yeah.
Is there something peculiar about this? Do you want me to roll for
I
it?
think you could roll for that, yes.
Alertness?
Yes.
16.
11. Yeah?
Yeah, alright. You both notice that there seem to be rather fine horses here. 4 of them, as well as a donkey. Apart from the big, heavy-set working horses.
Do you know if they have a branch of horse breeding as a sign of an income?
No, and I would say those animals look quite lavish for a monastery.
Most definitely lavish, rather expensive.
That's funny. I have heard of some monasteries having, well, horse breeding as a side business to... Of course they need to bring in money, but... like horses like this out here? It's curious.
I have no idea what their purpose will be when the monastery is done, but at this stage it would just be foolish to bring horses that they need to feed while they're still building the monastery.
It's interesting, isn't it? How are you a friend, by the way, of Lord Damas? How do you know each other?
Well, I was... actually, as you know, I'm quite new to the court. It's not usually my surroundings, and but I was recommended by the Bishop of Miron to act as a chaplain and historian at Lord Damas
Very impressive.
court.
Very impressive. So are you here today to look at the ruins mostly and examine the historical sites then?
Yes, of course, a bit. I think if we can learn the purpose of the ruins, and this, maybe we could find the purpose of the artifact that they're talking about, and that
You have an
way...
interest in ancient items.
I'm a bit of a historian myself, but mostly I'm interested, of course, in the teachings of Dark and Merdakh. That is my main passion here in life, yes.
Well, I do not know much about these things myself. I'm sure I could learn a lot from you then.
I would gladly enlighten you in all the teachings, of course.
Well,
But you are of course true to Dark and Merdakh.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I am faithful to the god.
Yes. But there is always room for accepting more of their teachings and the light. So you have been working close to Lord Damas for many years?
Oh, yes. And I'm well acquainted with Asta too, who is working with him even closer than I am. But I have been helping him for quite a while to root out those that shouldn't be in his service and around him, you know.
It's encouraging to see someone as brash and youthful and enthusiastic as Astor.
Oh, yes.
I just hope that he learns prudence and carefulness, and might not draw us into more trouble than we would wish.
You notice that I limp slightly on one of my legs as we are walking around these hilly areas of the ruins, and I make an excuse as I pull my leg up a little bit with an effort as we go up, and I say, yes, he's got such a spring to his youthful steps.
Are you okay, dear Camilla?
Oh, yes. And I reach out my hand for you to help me up over one of the steps.
I kind of like go stiff a bit. You get to steady yourself, but you can see I almost like straining up a bit, and I smile, most agreeably.
And I smile back very agreeably myself, and I hate myself. Thank you.
All right. Then we cut to our friends going to the campment.
Indeed. As we're on our way, I aside to Veruca. Certainly interesting thing going here. I find it quite amusing for the father to chastise us so much for lying.
Me too. Really amusing, actually.
After all, you've noticed, haven't you, how he has that way about his manner that is ever so slightly different when he is by himself than when he is with others.
No, not really. Elaborate, please.
Has he not? Body language tells a lot about people. He is a very humble servant of Merdakh, of course, when people are watching him. There's a very different manner about his person when he's by himself. A certain change of mannerism. Very stiff. He really does seem to find himself quite a few times at the Lord's manor in places he shouldn't have been. Claims, of course, faulty memory and wandering around lost.
Possibly yes.
Has he ever revealed anything to himself to you? You are, after all, very personable, Veruca.
No, I'm sorry, no. Every time I'm alone with him, he always talk about this. Well, there's really nice food at this monastery, and when you die, you will... Doc will bless your soul and all that, but I don't have time for that. I don't have time for him. I have no time for slow people, that's all.
I commend you on that.
The walk towards the encampment is not far, so your conversation is cut short when the guard on the outside, almost sleeping, hanging on his spear, says, Wait, what? Oi! You're not supposed to be here, who are you guys?
I've changed clothes.
Huh?
So I have this dark mustard yellow cloak over which I'm hanging a buckler, and I have a scimitar. So I look really battle ready.
I am also armed.
He does a wolf whistle.
I smile, not seeming to be alarmed by this at all, and say, good, yes, do summon the lieutenant. We would love to have a word with him. On behalf of the abbot, we've heard he wants to speak to him.
Oh yeah, sure, right. Get over here! He screams. And not only the lieutenant, but the sergeant and a few of the other guys comes there, almost, dressing themselves in their armor as they come, limping a bit while they're struggling to get on the boots and everything. And you suddenly have 10 soldiers in front of you in various states of battle readiness, and amidst them all stands a lieutenant, who seems to be the only one who's actually battle ready. Quite correct posture, good care of his kit, and he says, "G'day, gentlemen, can I help you?" and strokes his mustache.
Yes, sir.
And, well, lady, I suppose.
You're the lieutenant?
Yes, my name is Jonah Cardison. Can I, You said you came from the abbot. May I then, perhaps, ask what your business here is?
Well, on the contrary, we were quite interested in your business in these parts, sir. I believe earlier your men informed us that you were here in the proximity of our Lord.
Yes, quite true, yes. We're here trying to get in touch with the abbot, but he completely refuses to speak to us.
That's a shame. What do you need him for? We spoke with him, you see. He seems very confused as to why you would even want to speak to him. He's just an abbot after all.
We have a bit of paperwork. We need a few signatures from him and his official seal.
Now that is excellent. Paperwork, yes. We were talking about paperwork.
Yeah, and I'm his accountant.
Oh, yeah, that's wonderful. We actually need him to sign a few things. There's been trouble with the bookkeeping at Lord Damas Olem's court. Formally, they don't own the land they're working on, they don't have the correct rights to collect tithes and everything, and we just need him to sign a few things and press his stamp, seals in some hot wax and everything, just so everything is official and done, and we can leave.
I break out this letter of intent, and as you see, I'm all authorized to sign everything in his name.
What? But there's... I still need to speak to the abbot for these signatures.
Of course, but we can handle that for you. I mean...
No. I have strict orders from Lord Damas Olem himself that I need to be there to be an eyewitness to this, so there is no forgeries, no strangeness, no nothing, no nonsense.
All right.
Would you perhaps be able to get the abbot to come here? I would be happy to leave the second I have all the paperwork done.
Well, if anything, then we'd be happy to accompany you to him. You see, he's a rather man of nervous disposition, but it does sound, of course, as if you were here in a great official capacity.
Well, yes,
and of course, there was the matter of payment. You see, of course, I actually was sent myself with additional information. We were informed of your men being here, and of course, well, the Lord recently has a new tax levy against the peasants of the local area. This actually means that soldiers like yourself are due for a little bit of a raise.
Oh, that's quite nice. Yes.
I know, and wonderful, and of course we'd love to then be talking to you about that.
Sure, I suppose. I just need to finish the business at hand, and we can have, well, a happy conversation then, I suppose.
We certainly can. You could join us to the abbot, and we could then assist you with the signing of the papers.
I don't think anyone should assist this, because it was rather a strongly worded discussion with the Lord that to be certain that there's no strange business going on, that I should be alone with the abbot. Because apparently he's been coerced before, and just having other people in the room could be, an indication that do something before something else happens to you.
Wrinkle my nose a little. You see a small slight wrinkle in the nose. And I say, raising an eyebrow, "Oh, did you hear that? Very strict orders indeed, but then the strange thing is we are also under strict orders. What was it he said again? He said, if anyone questions you, remind them what happened the last time. What was it happened the last time? The last soldier, like this Springer, he was a lieutenant actually. What happened to him again?
Boiled alive.
Boiled alive, that was it. I was there myself. I said, that is rather barbaric, my lord.
Vader! He says and nudges towards the sergeant, "Go get the paperwork, just show it to them so they understand everything." Thank you. And Vader runs away, comes back half a minute later with a few papers, and just shows you that, well, this looks very much like the letter of proxy you have, but with the wording different. But it's the correct seal and everything, and it seems like it's...
But it's written earlier than ours.
You can't actually see a date on it.
Right.
Would you like to hold it up to the light and do a little bit of... Take a close look? Because you both can, if you like.
Out of my understanding, as I said, the abbot doesn't own the land.
Well, formally, the paperwork needs to be signed and everything to close the deal and the gift giving and everything, so yes.
All right. And the abbot said he was assigned this. But
by the Lord himself, yes.
Yeah, but something have probably gone wrong.
Yes.
Right.
It's all rather legal and formal and technical. It's just it's not something that the Lieutenant Jonak Odderson knows the details about. I'm not a lawyer. I don't honestly understand this either. I just know that these are my orders on this paper, that these papers need to be signed and stamped with a seal, and then I can leave. This is way over my head. All I know is I'm obeying this paper to get these papers signed.
How long have your men been with you, by the way, if you don't mind, Master Lieutenant? I'll be perfectly honest with you, and I lower my tone a little so only he can hear. I've noticed a little bit of, discipline, unshaven men. The two gentlemen tried to tie us on the way in. I'm going to have to report that, of course. I get my notebook out.
Oh dear. Well, you try to keep people in check when you're just waiting. We thought we would be here for 2 days and then go back, 2 days travel and then go back. It's impossible.
I understand. I've been on a ship all the way to Ebron. It was horrible.
How truthful is he being? I'm analysing him.
You can roll for that, I would say.
And in the meantime, I would also like to roll for this paper. As you said, I hold it to the light.
Yes, well, metaphorically, you have to take a closer look, guys.
Yeah.
12. Well, you can see that he is lying, that he's an accomplished liar, but you can't really say which part of everything is the lie.
What's the attitude of all the other men who are, as you said, we've been surrounded, there's this sergeant?
Well, not surrounded, so to speak. The positioning is that you two are on one side, the 10 of them are on one side, with the lieutenant in the middle.
like those sounds.
So it's quite possible for you to just turn around and walk. They won't stop you just by the positioning, so to speak.
Can I roll something to see
yes.
if this is something? Any specific law? Maybe?
Law is the obvious one. I'm terribly sorry.
I will roll for law. Right, so
10, 15, 16, right?
Yep.
You can see that this is very well made, very delicately, correctly done, but most definitely a forgery.
Right.
All of the papers are. But they're done by an expert. Yeah. That much you can say.
I just nod and mumble to myself, yeah, seems to be in order,
Yes. So is it possible for you, says the lieutenant, to just speak to the abbot on my behalf? Please make him come here, or I can meet him in the middle of the monastery, whatever, just as long as I get a chance to speak to him alone.
Certainly. How about this? We accompany you to the abbot himself, we do the introductions, and then we step out and you speak as you wish.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Excellent. Right now?
Right now?
Right now. Wonderful.
Right now, indeed. And as we are walking off, I say quietly in your ear, or rather we walk in with him, with the abbot, and then question him much further in private.
You also notice that you are followed by 5 of the soldiers. Like 10 paces behind you or something. Yep. You return to the monastery, and the friars are looking rather scared when they walk in. Try to look over their shoulders, trying to look without that it's obvious that they are looking. The monks themselves, hollow-eyed, fasting, start to pray, of course, and converse with each other with the sign language they use. The only way to get around the vow of silence, of course. And you meet the abbot again in the monastery's tent. In the abbot's tent, where you probably come back as well. Yes?
So leave the lieutenant maybe outside.
Yes.
And ask him, like, you can wait here, and we will bring him out to you.
Right, so it's all us, just us in the tent now then?
Yes, just the 4 of you. But you can guess that the soldiers and the lieutenant probably could hear if you speak too loudly.
So we whisper,
We maybe don't have much time, so here's what we know.
they made this forgery. Maybe they've heard about this sort of expedition that we're going on, or they have come across a letter and made a forgery. So they're here probably to push in for money. As I said, there's a hardship. A lot of people are thriving economically here, and this abbot, I didn't want to say this earlier, but there's rumors he have financial resources that he doesn't want to talk about. I want to keep this for ourselves, maybe to not blow all the information at once.
So do we think they want to press him for his private resources, or for
Something like that.
not the monastery's resources?
I don't know.
Well, if they could come to some personal agreement, perhaps that would be beneficial for everyone.
It certainly will. Unfortunately, the only issue is this. He has insisted, and not balked on it, that he will speak with the abbot privately. Now,
Just the 2 of them, you mean?
Indeed. We've managed to get to the point where he has agreed to at least be in the room with us for a short while. 5 men nearby. It'd be really good if we could question him more privately, but we probably won't A, have much time to do it,
Are you gonna take all day?
or B, it might get things a little hot. But it really would be nice to know. What do you think? How can we deal with his 5 men? Have a few moments with him. That part is easy. I will easily be able to, with some assistance at least, get the drop on him. But the other 5 men will be a little tricky if they hear any commotion or discomfort. What do you think?
Names? Do you have names?
The name was Jonah. Lieutenant Jonah.
Thank you.
I'm quite eager actually to let him in, to see what happens. It's not my
You
money.
do understand that we cannot leave him alone with the abbot. That would be out of the question.
I think we shouldn't, and if the abbot has made forgeries of the bookkeeping, as was suggested, I think we should find that out, perhaps, and then perhaps we need to talk to both parties and say that this is fine. If you can leave happily, they can live happily, then we can live happily.
It is possible we could play this the safest of both ways. We do exactly as we said we were going to do.
Yeah.
And as we are leaving, you 3, Make sure those guards are looking elsewhere. I can always stay by the door and listen. If we distract them enough, they will not hopefully notice me. I have on my person 30 silver dinars.
You don't have to bribe me. Don't worry about it.
It's possible. I take my purse out. Maybe you can have a quick word with those men on the way out.
Oh,
just
men,
inform,
right,
yes,
sorry.
inform them that here is a little bonus for their good job. They can run back to camp.
Yeah, that's good. Right, so we make it out. If Hugo is corrupt, we will have evidence of it right now.
You can hear raised voices from the soldiers again, and you can hear the words, "Tricked us, not gonna help us," through their muffled conversation.
I believe we need to act now. Your final word, Father.
You do know that you should that there's a decree of having faith in all servants of Dark, and you shouldn't enter this with like a preset mind of him actually being guilty of.
On the contrary,
wrongdoing.
We are here to prove the guilty wrongdoing of the lieutenant.
I stand by the tent door.
Yes.
And
Yes. It starts by going out.
Worry not. Dad, I'm sure, is with us. Gentlemen, sorry. You know how this
The
paperwork
soldiers seem
things are.
very impatient, and you can see one of them actually around the corner taking a piss. Just doing something while waiting.
Lieutenant, come.
Finally, yes. Have you convened, discussed, whatever? Can we please get the business
We are
about?
on the way.
Wonderful.
We accompany you, make the introduction, and then
Yes.
we shall leave as you have your private
Wonderful.
word. Of course, we won't be too far away, outside,
Neither will my men.
Excellent, I hope so. These are dangerous parts.
Yes, indeed. Wait, would you like to talk in the abbot's tent?
That's where he wants to meet you, isn't it?
Well, fine, I suppose.
he's a modest man.
Well, forgive and tell he was modest. You can hear him say,
What time of day is it now?
probably somewhere around 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Time has gone by. And in the tent, you can see the abbot as you all walk down there, so he can see you. And he sees you, and he looks up with happiness in his face, and then the blood drains from it as he sees Hjalmar Nordén and the soldiers. What have you done?
You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we played The Monastery's Lament for Aeon. Aeon is published by our friends at Helmgast. Our game master was Pontus Kjellberg, and we were also joined by Jenny Bremberg and Emanuel Perpåls. The music was created by Northumbria, and was used with permission from their label, Cryochamber. Check out their YouTube channel, or cryochamber.bandcamp.com for more music for your table. We would like to give massive thanks to our champions of the Red Moon, Martin Heuschober, Nastasia Raulerson, Simon Cooper, and David for their generous support. And we would of course like to thank all of our other patrons. Without your support, the show would not be possible. If you want to support our work, please check us out on Patreon. You can get access to bonus campaigns for Cultivated Lost and Coriolis there, as well as get early and raw access to all of our recordings. You can also hear your name read on the show as a champion of the Red Moon, as well as play Cult with us. Most importantly, that support is what keeps the show going, so do check us out there. Thank you again for listening, and see you soon again.